Welcome, everyone, to the Rapids Report. First time I get to say that. We hope you all are happy to be joining. Thank you very much for joining us for this. We're doing things a little bit new and differently with this show, but we're still going to be bringing you the guests that you have come to know and listen to and the information that is so vital to our community. We're doing this with, of course, a lot of other great friends, and one of them is our friends at Wisconsin Rapids Community Media. They're in with us today. Encourage you to check out their videos and the great work that they are doing over there. Love the work with the mayor and the interviews and those. I've been really enjoying those. Check it out at WRC. Go and type into your search bar on YouTube, Wisconsin Rapids Community Media, and subscribe to their page. Keep up to all the great things that they are doing over there. When I bring up talking to local individuals and bringing great information, one of those wonderful resources we have is Lance Pliml, Wood County Board Chairman. Lance not only knows what's going on in this area, but really up and down the state. And one of those, to that point, Lance, you were just at a statewide conference. I wanted to start there with you.
I was really, really happy that you said I'm one of the interesting people you talk to. You wouldn't get the same answer from my wife or the kids or anybody else, but that's really good to hear. Yeah, it's really interesting. We had a couple of statewide presentations and conferences dealing with some large organizations, and it really comes down to, what does government do, and what do the different levels of government do, and how do we make that more seamless? Because if you call somebody, whether it be an ambulance, a police officer, when you call for, help from human services, if it's a mental health issue, you don't necessarily know who you're calling, but you hope somebody shows up. And oftentimes, or most of the time, people don't know who is responsible for what. So, part of what we're talking about right now is how do we provide more seamless services to people? How do we blend those services and make them more affordable? How do we cooperate with all levels of government? And this is a great segue because you led into this. I have conversations with the mayor, often. And the county and the city of Wisconsin Rapids work together often. One of the big projects, we just finished a big jail project. And that project wouldn't have happened without the cooperation of the city. We vacated Avon Street. Had to make some changes, and there's going to be some changes to parking as we move forward. The county has acquired much of the property across the street. The city has plans on some of those properties as well. We have a long-time burnt-out foundry that's been sitting in the city forever. The city works cooperatively with the county or vice versa, to get that raised and get some development going there. So, we constantly look at how do we do things better, more effectively, more efficiently. And then, to be a little bit, I don't want to be crass, but, people ask me all the time, who's responsible for picking up my garbage? Mm-hmm. I get calls like that. My garbage wasn't picked up this week. There's still 2 full cans out there. Well, the county doesn't do that. But I think it's important. It's imperative that as officials that we know who you can call. Mm-hmm. I think the most frustrating answer I ever get is not my job.
Yeah.
So when somebody calls me, I like to be able to say, I can either answer that or I can get you to the person right away that can answer that. And if I get 2 or 3 people that ask me the same question, I'll usually call the department and say, give me the answer so I don't have to refer them on to you the next time.
So I have a question that I don't think I'm the only one thinking. When it comes to running for any kind of public office, do you think that a person should be able to, and I don't mean this literally, but should be able to take a test to be able to answer like what the job that they are doing? Because I feel like we're seeing more and more of this, Lance, where I certainly put it on individuals, every single American, to know their not only what it takes to be able to vote, but the person that they're voting for, can they do that job? Are they actually qualified, and do they know what they're doing? Can they name the 3 branches of government? Can they do these things? Do you think that it should be a rule, like when you wanted to be a board chairman, that you needed to take a test to know exactly what a board chairman does? Or we just let people run for whatever they want to run for? And I don't have an answer for this. I'm genuinely asking the question to not just you, but our listeners out there.
That's a really good question. And if you're watching this, if you're seeing the video, I'm laughing here because not only and I'm going to get in trouble for this, not only do I think you probably should have some qualifications or some familiarity with what you're doing, I think you have to take that test before you can vote. Now I'm going to get in trouble for saying that, but I'm amazed at what people don't understand or what they don't know, and what they often blame local officials for, of which they have no control. And I can give you a really good example. One time I had a person who was running for county board. And once seated, they said, and we're going to get everything in this school district straightened out. And I said, well, you know what? You ran for the wrong office. We have zero control over county boards. Now, that doesn't mean we don't know them and we don't talk to them. And like during COVID, I mean, when there's a health issue, we're meeting with the superintendents who I'm taking direction from their boards. I mean, there are symbiotic relationships, but not only the person running, but the person voting. I'm amazed at some of the stuff I hear. And all you got to do is watch these man on the street interviews they do out there.
I was going to reference that. I was going to reference the old Leno bit and everything. Because I remember being a kid and watching that and thinking, well, this is it's funny at first, and then you're like, wait a minute, like this is actually a little sad. Some of these things, and I understand how busy the life gets. I understand we only have so much bandwidth. As somebody who tries to follow every single sport, I get it. It's pretty tough, but that's life, man. That's like the idea that so much of democracy is just handed to us and is God-given, is born-given to us here in this country. I think meeting things halfway is the least we can do. Hey, I'm an American citizen. I have democracy in my pocket. I get to vote. Okay, you got that. Now meet us halfway and learn about what you're voting for. Learn about the laws that you're voting on, learn the people that are, do they know their stuff? And do you know your stuff? Because I don't know if I'm 100% with you on the voting part, but I'm leaning that way, man. I'm leaning that way more and more to where I want an informed voter. I want everybody to be able to vote, and I want an informed voter. And I don't think that's asking a lot. I don't think this is a bar we're setting where you got to do this, this, and this. No, do you know the three branches of government? Do you know certain things? And that's for the person running for office as well as the person voting for it. I don't disagree with you on that.
I mean, requirements probably strong, but when you look at some of the stuff,
know what you mean, though.
You're out there, and I'm amazed because I talk to people that are fairly involved politically. And typically, if you said to them, can you name our 2 U.S. senators? That's a struggle sometimes. And if I say, can you name half of our congressmen or women representatives? The answer is I can usually name mine, maybe. They don't know who the others are. And so, I think if you're going to run for office, again, test is a higher bar, but you probably ought to at least attend some meetings ahead of time. The problem we run into often is most people decide to run for office because there's an issue, a single issue that has really irritated them. And it's often an important issue. I don't want to diminish that. But in the grand scheme of things, when I look at, for instance, what we handle at the county level, it's just a microcosm of what we do. I mean, it's important, but it's nowhere near as important as many of the other things that we have to deal with. And we see this all the time. And somebody say, well, don't you think this is important? I go, I do. But I've got a much bigger issue that I have to deal with, or that the board has to deal with today, and sometimes those get pushed aside a little bit. But that's where knowing what your government does and knowing who to call, makes a difference. It doesn't make sense to necessarily to call me, although I probably have a direct line to them, if there's something that you want our federal representatives to take on and handle, because I don't get a vote there.
Right. If you want, this is one of those things that I think every person has to start looking in the mirror about. Do you want to get something done? When you feel passionate about something, when you want to be heard about a topic, that one issue that you're referencing or something, okay, all right, that's great. But do you really want to get stuff done, or do you just want to bark? Because if you really want to get stuff done, that's what we're talking about here, actually taking that energy and putting it in the right direction. I use this example all the time. You don't like the gas prices. Well, yelling at the clerk ain't going to do anything. The clerk is just trying to do their job. Clerk had nothing to do with that. You have a problem with the gas prices, learn where you need to go to actually be heard about that. You have to face this as a human being in this day and age, where all of us have an outlet, and all of us have a podcast, a radio show, which is basically social media. So when do you want to just be a dog barking, or do you want to get stuff done? And that's what you have to realize as a human being, I think, more and more now. And part of getting stuff done is knowing who to talk to, the branches of government and different things, the services that are offered by different departments.
Well, and that's really well said. And developing those relationships, there's kind of 4 parts of this that I think are really important. And the first part is develop relationships. And I'll give you an example. This is probably a good lesson for anybody out in the community. But if every time I called a state legislator or a congressman I wanted something, I really didn't establish a relationship, and they don't know me. You got to get to know the person first, and then you got to get your facts and figures together. You got to have the data and the metrics. Then probably the most important part, you need to be able to tell the story. And so if you've developed a relationship so the person trusts you, and then you have the metrics, the data to back it up, and then you can roll that into a story that resonates, you become a trusted individual. I made a comment the other day at an event I was at. I said, as a youngster, I never thought in a million years that I'd ever have a conversation, with the United States congressman. Just didn't, you don't think that's going to happen. And I have more than once, been out on a boat on a Saturday afternoon, and a member of Congress calls me and says, "What do you think about?" And I had one of those conversations. I said, I'm not in your district. And they said, "We don't care if you're in our district. We know that you probably talk to people, you probably know the issue, and you probably hear what they're saying locally." The point is, there was a relationship where they trust you. If I walk into the Capitol and I'm barking every minute or I'm screaming about everything and I don't prioritize, I'm not going to get anything. I want, whether it's the governor's office, the state legislature, those representatives we have locally, I want them to know that if I call them, it's really important. And it's important to me because it's important to the constituents that we deal with. And the closer you are to your representative, both geographically, and from a relationship standpoint, the more that story will resonate. And then sometimes we are the person who carries that, that ball to the next level and gets it done for you.
Lance, at a recent Wood County Board meeting, you guys made some budget changes. I wanted to touch on that a little bit too.
Yeah, we make a whole bunch of budget changes.
Yeah, that's really simplifying it, wasn't it?
Most of it, believe it or not, this is really funny because if you first came to the county board, every year we have a deficit budget. Every year. And they'd say, well, you're going to be broke pretty soon. And that was what I thought when I first got there. Again, I was low information, high opinion when I got here. But it's kind of the way we budget. It in essence really doesn't end up being a structural budget or deficit, or would have been broke a long time ago.
Right.
What tends to happen is we tend to under budget revenues because there's government stuff that comes through. So I'll give you an example. If we have a $150, $60 million county budget, only about 20 to 30 million of that's discretionary money we can really spend. The rest of it's already dedicated or earmarked for a federal or state project. Oftentimes those revenues increase somewhat significantly throughout the year. Our expenses, what we budget as an expense, don't. And so, in the time I've been there, we've probably more than doubled the reserves, yet every year it shows as a structural deficit. So this time of year, we do budget resolutions to adjust that. Now, it seems funny to me. You think you need a budget resolution if you're going to spend more money. We actually need a budget resolution if we're giving money back. Which seems kind of ironic. Yeah. You'd think you just put it in the bank account, you'd be good, but it has to be accounted for. So the one you're talking about, though, is Edgewater Haven is a top-notch nursing home facility down here. It's a 5-star rated facility, one of the best in the area. And our board over the years, and kudos to them, has said, we really want to keep families together. We want to make sure that we have a top-notch facility in the area where whether it be grandma and grandpa or great-grandma and grandpa, can stay here. They can visit the grandkids. They can stay in the area. And then we don't have to worry about, their kids or grandkids moving somewhere else to be with them. And in that case, it becomes, that might create a business development possibility. If they leave, it creates a problem the other way. So we made the commitment to keep those people here. And the cost of that project at Edgewater, the engineering and that part of it the budget adjustment was about $200,000. The total project's going to be about $2 million. And you go, that's a lot of money. But the revenue projections are, by making those changes, it's going to be revenue positive because you can handle different kinds of patients and or residents. So we always look at that. It's a big number up front, but at the end of the day, it pays dividends, comes back and becomes a positive. So you're going to see a whole bunch of these in the next month, by the way.
Well, and I think just on this particular one, especially when it comes to Edgewater Haven or something, it's important, I think, in any area, certainly, but especially here in central Wisconsin and specifically in Wisconsin Rapids and Port Edwards and our surrounding areas here, where we have a very strong, high senior population. All the more reason to be taking care of this and doing this, for one, because it's the right thing to do. just bluntly, I think. But it's also it's smart economically to the points that you're bringing up. So it doesn't happen all the time in society where I feel like the right thing to do is also the economical thing to do, and that's a great thing to note, I think.
Yeah, those don't always go hand in glove.
No.
You know, from a demographic standpoint, yeah, we're in trouble. You know, all of the projections, whether it be forward analytics at the state level or even the national news we hear, there's going to be a huge nursing home shortage. And yet you have nursing homes closing all over, or they're being bought by private entities, sometimes only with profit in mind, and not necessarily
such an undercovered topic.
And you know, we've really worked on making Edgewater, you know, feel like home, much less institutional. It's a really nice place. In fact, I was in there a couple of weeks ago, and I said, can I have this room, you know, in a few years, because it's really nice. The view is fantastic. But that's a commitment we've made. We want to make sure that those beds are available. You know, demographically, we are on the worst half of all of the 72 counties of the state of where we're going to be in several years. And so, you know, we have to deal with it, and we have to be ready.
Well, and this is, again, part of the reason why you want people that know what they're doing and know the job in these positions, because you guys are getting ahead of this. And that's, you know, a credit to our board and our community when it comes to these things. I appreciate that. And before we wrap up, Lance, I did want to remind everybody that Wood County Sarah Park is now open for reservations. Encourage everybody to get those reservations and get on over there. I know a number of people, actually, that I've talked to since that news got broke, that they're looking forward to getting over there. One couple I knew, they went there when they were kids, haven't really been there since, and now they want to take their kids over there.
Yeah, that was a real, you know, another feather in the cap of the Parks Department. When that opportunity arose and we have the ability to have, you know, waterfront property to take on an existing campground, you know, we're talking savings of millions of dollars to provide something in the community that not only provides recreation for those of us locally, but provides economic stimulus. The people that come into the area, although our campgrounds run, you know, at fairly close to break even. I mean, they're not huge profit centers, but those people are out in the community, and they're buying gas, and they're going to the restaurants, and just to the stores, you know, the retail stores. And then some of those people realize what a great community we have. And then they say, you know what? Maybe I should buy a house here, or maybe I should open a business here. And kind of funny story, on the way in here, I just had a call from a developer. Just called me up. He said, what do you think about, I can't talk about it yet, but I mean, that was just driving in. I had to cut him off in the parking lot and say, I got to be on the air in 1 minute. I'll get back to you. But that call came in from Dallas, Texas. So, you know, we'll see what's out there. But all of that is a result of the community, the people in it. I think the friendly attitude and nature of our residents. And that's the cooperative, friendly part that I talk about.
Always appreciate the conversation, Lance. Looking forward to hanging out again next month. If people have follow-up questions, would like to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
My personal numbers are in the well, you can find them on the web. You can find them in the county directory. You can find it at the county website. My email. You can text me. Whatever works best for you, I'm always willing to talk. And a real quick point, there's 5,000 of you out there. Some of you have way better ideas than I have, so feel free to give me a call.
Encourage you to do that, Lance, as always. Looking forward to talking with you. And if you're curious, the references I had for the article, the things we were talking about today is woodcountywi.gov. Encourage you to bookmark that webpage and keep up on everything going on here in Wood County. While you're at it, go to YouTube, type into your search bar, Wisconsin Rapids Community Media, and subscribe to the great work they are doing right there. Appreciate you guys over there. Lance, thanks again for the time.
Thanks, James.
And we'll have more Rapids Report coming up for you, everybody.